We will call to order the Oak Island Town Council regular meeting of March 12th, 2013. The council will enter into their invocation led by Councilman Medlin, and then if you would, you can join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you join us as we pray? Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the rain that came today. We needed it, and we're grateful for it. Thank you for this beautiful place we live and for the privilege you give us to serve here. And our prayer tonight is that we would make good decisions, that we would keep in the forefront of our minds that the reason we're here is for the people of this island, and that our decisions that we, in the business that we deal with, would reflect that. Thank you again for all that you do for us. In your holy name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Medlin. First on our agenda is the public comment period. This is our normal comment period for general comments. Please remember to give your name and address when you come to the podium, and also you have a 3-minute time limit. If you need an extra 2 minutes, you just need to let us know and we'll give you an extra 2. First on the list to sign up to speak in general comments tonight is Mary Ann Brewer.
Mary Ann Brewer, 3524 East Pelican. I just wanted to say I'm grateful for the fact you people were willing to run for council, because I sure wasn't. And I'm grateful for your attempts at straightening out the mess, because it certainly has been one. I probably am in the minority as I say this, but I have no expectation of having the taxes lowered this year. I mean, come on, folks, we got debt. If we've got any extra money, we need to put it where it needs to be put. Now, a couple of years from now, with all this new construction, I may be back up here saying, I want my taxes lowered. But this year, I know y'all have done some plain and fancy cutting to various departments, and I just don't know how much more can be cut without affecting services. So, and since I like my services, I really don't expect a tax cut this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Next is Helen Cashwell.
Helen Cashwell, 3407 East Yacht Drive. I want to thank all of you all that are sitting up here on the council tonight for all of your efforts. You probably came into the environment that you're sitting in the worst possible time, and believe me, I speak from experience. I honeymooned here 68 years ago. That's how long I've been involved with Oak Island per se. We bought property 30 years ago. We became a second-story resident at that time. And 22 years ago, I retired here. I've set up there where you all are for 2 stints. I understand all the things you have to go, but I got to tell you something. Not in all the time period that I've been here have I seen or heard the town come to such a quiet, peaceful environment that it's in now. And that has to be through your efforts and the fact that people are seeing the results of what you're doing. Now, I realize more than anybody how much you've got ahead of you. It certainly isn't all smooth sailing. The debt's still there. The deficit is horrible. The fact that you're willing to stand up and take it on is very commendable. I can't tell you how much the citizens have been talking and appreciate it. I'm just here to tell you that you need to hear that. You need to know that your efforts are not going wasted. And I know it's hard to sometimes never hear an attaboy. All you hear are the complaints. But believe me, there are plenty of attaboys out there for you guys. And I really want to thank you for that. And now for the public at large, I would like to encourage everybody to show up twice a month at the rec center to hear J.C. Moss and the Oak Island Boys. You know, it's free. What people don't realize is they are among us. These are really talented people. And unless you've been there and shared an evening with them and realize they just have a good time, it's free. There's nothing else that equals it to it down here. And I think we sometimes get so involved with what we do, we don't look around and see what's really out there. So I would definitely encourage you to take a minute of your time. They played last Friday night. They'll be back there in 2 weeks. And they say they start at 7 o'clock on the marquee. But I got to tell you, get there at 5. They're practicing. And there's as many there at 5 o'clock as there is at 7. So if you really want to have a good time, come on out. And I see that JC's up for a recreation board member. Please keep him on that. He's a really good citizen, and his efforts are certainly to be lauded. So I thank you again, guys, every one of you.
Thank you, Ms. Cashwell. That's all that's signed up to speak for general comments tonight. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak during this period? Okay, we'll move on. Next is council reports from mayor and council. I don't remember where I started last month. Councilor Weinkoff, you want to start?
Well, I was proud to get invited to the grand opening of the Salty Dog Park. It was a huge turnout. I believe we had over 100 and something people out there and their pets. The ribbon cutting was a little tough, but it was a great effort by these people to get donations to do this park. No taxpayers' money went into it. They went out there and worked, and they will be over this park taking care of it. They're still going to earn more donations to improve the park, and they're also going to look at Templeton Park at taking it on. But I also want to thank David Kelly and Kelly Beeson, because they helped out with this park to make sure everything went right, that we didn't take no shortcuts and they followed the rules. And it was just an overall great effort, team effort from everybody to get this park open.
Thank you. Councilor Painter, please.
I really don't have much of a report. I would just remind you a month early, but I'll remind you again next month, the Brunswick Beaches Consortium meeting the next meeting will be at our town hall. It's our turn to host in April, and that'll be on April 18th at 10 a.m. But I'll remind you again next month.
Councilor Medlin, please.
No report.
Councilor Kaiser.
No report.
Councilor Royal. No report. Okay, I have a little bit of one. And yes, I was at the Salty Dog Park grand opening. If you know me, you know that I've done dog rescue since 1999, and dogs are mostly my life, but they come first, just after my husband. You sure about that? Yes. Well, he has some questions about that sometimes. But they had a leash cutting, and it was really great. I forgot to bring my little bowl and the little dog toy they give you for a donation, and we were trying to cut a leash with those big old scissors. So I had my war wound that Jeff gave to me when he clamped those scissors down too hard. If you get a chance, if you've got dogs, go out there on Bill Smith Park on Fish Factory Road. We had a reporter from Wilmington, and she said that she comes down to visit her mom in Southport, and this dog park is better than any she's ever been to, bar none. So when she comes to see her mom, she's going to bring her dog. The Community Watch organization had their bike sale. They garnered $780 this year from their annual bike sale. That's most of what they function on, with a little bit of donation from the town. The Community Watch, I like to tout them every month. It's a completely volunteer organization, has nothing to do with the town. This is people coming together to help keep the community safe and get out word about scams and so forth. Their meetings are the first Monday of each month at 6 p.m. upstairs at the police department. If you'll sign up on their website, you will get updates about their blogs and also updates about any scams that are going around. It's oakislandcommunitywatch.org. We had our beach sweep. Was that March the 9th?
Second.
The 2nd. I went down to the beach sweep with my puppy mill foster dog, Troy, and didn't expect him to even like the beach at all. He loved it. The beach area that I was on was fairly clean. So Troy and I came back up on Beach Drive. We were at the intersection of 40th, Southeast 40th, and within an hour had filled up a lawn and leaf bag and also a kitchen trash bag with litter just on that intersection of Beach Drive. So let's see what we can do about doing some sort of sweep of our main corridors to get. So I did not realize how much litter there was out there. And then I got started looking. If you look up at the food line, the lot just to the east of the food line. So maybe we can have a street sweep. Congratulations to Roseanne Fortner. She's going to be giving us an update on the beach preservation wine tasting, I think, in a few minutes. Our own Roseanne was just named to the National Advisory Board of Sea Grant. It's technically the National Sea Grant College Program. It's the marine equivalent of what land-grant universities accomplish. And this is a national board that reviews and gives grants and so forth for the ecology and for coastal issues. I didn't realize that Roseanne is a retired Ohio State University professor. There you go, girl. Late in her career, she landed a $2.5 million National Science Foundation grant to teach about the Great Lakes. Congratulations, kudos. Thank you to Lee for such a great article about Roseanne in this week's State Court Pilot. The Living Shoreline Project, I know you've heard us talk about that, where they're bagging the rock marl and the oyster shells for down at Waterway Park. That is the last two events are going to be held March the 20th and the 23rd. Both of them begin at 10 a.m. and they go until 2 p.m. This time they're going to be placing the bags of rock marl and also the oyster shells. So we've had great response every time we've done that. So come on out and do that. I have some printouts. They're not in, they're in grayscale, but I'll put them over there on the table. Ride the Tide Kayak Race is April the 13th at the Kayak Launch Center behind the rec department. We had 87 participants last year, and the Recreation Department employees said that with favorable weather, they're expecting even more than that. It kicks off about the same time as the Beach Preservation Society's wine tasting, but that's casual too. So you can, if you got a ticket, you can go to the Ride the Tide Kayak and still get down to the wine tasting. If you want more information about joining the Ride the Tide Kayak Race, you can call the rec center at 278-5518. Couple more little short things. Shoreline Food Pantry. Shoreline Baptist Church is opening a food pantry for our needy and our indigent. It will be opening on March the 18th. They will be open 7 days a week. Families in need can come to the food pantry, and they will be given 3 days of food every week if they need it. They need donations as far as non-perishable items, baby products, toiletries. They need time, if you've got time to volunteer. I've also got some information on that. They will be serving all of Brunswick County, but they will be located right here in South Harbor on Vanessa Drive. So kudos to them for beginning a food bank down here for our families that need it. St. James brought to Mr. Foster and I their property tax check this year. Since I've been mayor, they have brought a check to me every year that paid the property taxes they would have paid if their homeowners association beach club had been taxable, but it wasn't. Wanting to be good neighbors, they donated that amount every year. Well, this year, they actually made the check out for the taxes that were due because the legislature decided that property sites like that would be taxed just like every other taxable situation. So they wanted to make sure that they presented the check again for their Oak Island now taxable property owners. Brown and white goods, we're catching up with it. I think we're having fewer and fewer places that people are putting stuff outside the road. I'll say it again. You can't put anything out in the town's right of way. You can't put washing machines. Josh had to pick up 3 toilets that somebody threw out in the right of way. Not carpet padding, except for the semi-annual brown and white goods pickup day this year, or in the spring. That is April 15th. You cannot put the items out until April 14th. And I have been encouraging as strongly as I possibly could that our Development Services Department fine and give notices of violations to everyone that puts their stuff in our rights-of-way. We're trying to keep our island and our town attractive, and I hope I don't sound too stern when I say you don't have a right to litter our streets. So put your stuff out when we're going to have the pickup. Until we had the pickup day, keep it in your yard. I'm sorry that was so long, but it was a busy month, and that's my report. Next, we have presentations, proclamations, and recognitions. We have a presentation first by Cynthia Tart with Communities and Schools. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
It has
Welcome.
been. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and it's been a beautiful day here, and it's just a pleasure to live in Oak Island. I appreciate the time to be with you tonight. I just have a couple of comments I'd like to make. As a courtesy, I usually go around annually to all the municipalities and county government and community partners and give an annual report, and the document that I've handed to you in the audience is a summary of some of that information from our past, from 2011 and 2012. Our mission is to work alongside towns, the county, the community, to look at issues that cause students to drop out of schools. Students that drop out of school usually stay in our community. They don't usually move very far away, and they end up becoming sort of a burden for taxpayers. We have to look at how to provide services because usually they require more services than someone with a high school graduation and a college degree. So our goal is to help reduce that dropout rate in our county and help families that are struggling. Last year in North Carolina, over 14,000 students dropped out of school. 30% of the students who are not reading at grade level in our state. 25% of students entering college in their freshman year require remediation in reading and math. And these are the statistics that we are trying to affect by bringing our community together, by applying for funding and raising funds in our community to bring about programs and services that will help families and help students. So in the document that I've given you, there are a couple of things I just want to highlight. The Adopt a School and Volunteer program, we're constantly going out in the community and asking people to volunteer and work with our students in the schools. And we have a lot of volunteers in the Oak Island area a lot of volunteers that have worked with students that have been with them for 5 and 6 years, and they see them through elementary school, and then they go ahead and volunteer with them at the middle school. And we have several that have stayed with them through graduation. And that's what we would like to say to the public tonight. If you know of anyone that would like to volunteer in the schools, just please get in touch with us at CIS and we'll gladly connect them. We do the volunteer training for the schools to make sure that everyone going into the schools has a background check and that we have people that are safe to work with their students. In reference to the dropout prevention program called Action for Success, that's a program that's serving 3 of the middle schools that's reflected here, and we are expanding that program to South Brunswick Middle School next year. And it's where we raise funds to put a position in the school that works with the counselor and the teachers to identify the top 50 kids in the school that have the highest risk factors, the national risk factors for possibly dropping out of school. And then That mentor, we call that person a success coach, is with them every day. They're case managing them. They're working with the families. If the families are illiterate, the mom or the grandparents, they help connect them to the literacy council if they need DSS services. Whatever the needs are for that family and that student, we work daily with them to mentor them and serve as liaison with them between the schools and the county and services to help those kids succeed and help them graduate from high school. Under the parenting education program, we offer parenting, and 28 of your parents have actually gone through that 12 to 14-week program during this past year. It's a nationally certified program. It cost us around $5,000 to certify the trainers as required by our grant. And so it's an accredited program that the parents really get a lot of support out of. And we see a lot of difference in the family lifestyle after they've been through the parenting program. So we really appreciate, we have volunteers that work in that parenting program, and we really appreciate that. In Teen Court and Peer Court, we have 63 of your students in this area that either volunteer or have gone through Teen Court, which is a program we work to fund. Teen Court is a program in which students are judged by their peers, and they establish what the community service will be and what the restitution will be. And those students are for first-time offenders only. And the benefit is that it will not go on their juvenile record or anything if they do their community service and participate in the Teen Court program. So it's an alternative program to the juvenile justice system. So I just wanted to update you tonight with this information, encourage the public to get involved if they would like to volunteer in the schools or volunteer in any of the programs that we offer. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Goodness, wow.
And welcome, Mr. Foster. I haven't had time to welcome you back.
Thank you, Cynthia. It's good to see you again, too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Mr. Foster, I believe we can keep this information available at Town Hall if anybody wishes to call got several different people and telephone numbers for the different
Sure.
programs that they have. Great presentation. Next, we have a presentation by Ken Papaj. Papas. Papas.
Like the sailor.
Popeye. But we got it spelled with a P-A-P-A-J.
That's right.
Okay. That's the way you pronounce the J.
Yeah, you can call me Popeye the Sailor, just don't call me Popeye
Popeye.
the Chicken.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. My name, I'm with Brunswick Family Assistance. I'm the chair of the board of directors at Brunswick Family Assistance. And first of all, I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to speak to you about who we are, what we do, and how we do it. And I'd also like to thank the town of Oak Island for the generous support and assistance you've given to BFA over the years. Brunswick Family Assistance is a nonprofit located in Shallotte. And since 1981, we have been helping the unemployed, the elderly, disabled, and more frequently, the underemployed and the working poor. Today, BFA supports 1 in 6 county residents. That's 17% of the county population through our services. And in 2012, Brunswick Family Assistance provided 2,000 pounds of food to 220 residents of Oak Island and $3,700 in financial assistance for rent and utilities to 202 individuals living on Oak Island. Certainly in these hard economic times, our neighbors in Brunswick County are falling through the safety net. Let me just share with you a few numbers I think demonstrate the need and the hard times in our county. The unemployment rate in December was 11.3, compared to the national average of 7.8. And over the last 4 to 5 years, the unemployment rate has been 4 to 5 percentage points above the national average. 21% of adults in the county are living in poverty, of which 9.1% are in extreme poverty. That's 50% below the poverty level. 31% of children under 18 are living in poverty. And the one that I find most striking, 2/3, 67% of our students in grades K through 12 receive free or reduced meals due to low family income. So BFA is dedicated to improving the lives of individuals in crisis who are willing to help themselves by providing emergency assistance. And I'll come back to that theme of willing to help themselves. We envision a community where all people have an adequate, nutritious supply of food and financial resources to sustain themselves. So let me tell you a little bit about a few of the services we provide. We're probably best known for our food program. We have a food pantry that's open 5 days a week, provides emergency food, and we're also the designated agency in the county that distributes surplus government food from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Just last February, we had our commodities distribution of surplus food, and we gave out food to 1,000 families in about 6 hours. We also provide rental assistance for the homeless, the disabled, and those facing eviction. We have financial assistance that we provide for utilities, medical prescriptions, and transportation needs. Our back-to-school program provides students with a backpack with supplies and clothing and uniforms for school. Our annual Christmas program provides gifts to children and seniors. And just this past December, we provided presents to over 2,000 seniors and students. And finally, we have a thrift store that provides clothing and household goods to people in need. And one thing I'd like to say is that all of our assistance is really based on eligibility requirements. We gather income and expense data on all of our clients, and then we compute that against the poverty level. So these people have to show a demonstrated need for the services we provide. We also maintain a database that keeps that information on a confidential basis, and it tracks the services we provide to our clients. And we also make that database available to other nonprofits and food pantries so that we can try to root out those who are trying to beat the system by going from one food pantry to another. And we do this all with a very small staff. We have 3 full-time and 3 part-time people who run the programs, and 4 part-timers in our thrift store. I mentioned earlier about clients willing to help themselves. That's really a key thing we've been working on because we want to address the root cause of the problem. So a couple of things we're doing. We've got a program with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension where we're providing a training program to help people prepare the food we give them in the pantry, and a financial literacy program to teach them basic budgeting and management skills that are money. We're looking to develop a training course with a partner that would provide resume and interview skills to help people go out and interview for jobs. And over the last 2 years, we've been on the forefront of making sure clients are eligible, apply for food stamps. And over the last 2 years, we've had 130 people become eligible for the food stamp program. We also partner and collaborate with a number of organizations in the county because in these lean times, we want to make sure that there's no overlap and duplication of services. Finally, I'd just like to talk about our fiduciary responsibilities and how we operate as a business. We, as the board, take a very strong position about our responsibility of being good stewards of the money that is provided to us. We redesigned our accounting system over the last 2 years, and it tracks all the money that we receive and how much we still have left. So on a daily basis, we know exactly where we stand. We also conduct annual audits of our financial books and our accounting system. The 5 years I've been on the board, we've always got a clean audit opinion. For the last 2 years, not only a clean audit, but no material weaknesses and no significant deficiencies. And finally, we hired our auditor from our last 5 years as an outsourced CFO so that he can even strengthen further our financial management responsibilities. So that's all about what we do. I want to thank again all the support you've given us, and hopefully if you're able to provide us any funding, we would certainly appreciate that, because with your support, we can help take care of our own in Brunswick County. Any questions?
Have you gotten one of our outside agency request forms for the budget sessions?
No, we don't.
Okay. Maybe you could get with,
They've already filed it with us, actually.
okay.
I know we submitted a letter to you guys
Okay.
seeking
You
support.
submitted the letter, so the town clerk has it.
Because we had sent out letters to all the outside agencies already.
Council have any questions for Mr. Popeye? And if we think of you as Popeye the Sailor instead of Popeye's Chicken, then we're all telling our age.
That's it. You're right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Next on the agenda is the Arbor Day proclamation, and I will just read the last half of this one. It is specific to the town of Oak Island for the annual Arbor Day. Whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the town of Oak Island has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Whereas the town's Tree City USA Committee, along with the Oak Island Beautification Club, will celebrate Arbor Day on April 6th by giving away 200 live oak, 200 crepe myrtle, and 100 bald cypress bare root seedlings between 9 a.m. and noon in the Food Lion parking lot, 5901 East Oak Island Drive. Write down that date and time, April 6th, 9 a.m. to noon at Food Lion parking lot. Now, therefore, I, Betty W. Wallace, Mayor of the town of Oak Island, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim April 6, 2013 as Arbor Day in the town of Oak Island, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to participate in the seedling giveaway during the town's Arbor Day celebration. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Proclaim this the 12th day of March, 2013. And I'd like to add a special thank you to our Tree City USA Committee and also the Beautification Club for their efforts on this annual seedling sale. I think some of the crepe myrtles might be some out of my garden that they've been trying to take over for years in my garden. Next is adjustment and approval of the agenda. With council's patience, I would like to remove consent agenda item number 2 and defer that to our next meeting at the request of the town manager. Does anyone else have any amendments to the agenda, please?
Madam Mayor,
Please.
I'd like to amend the agenda to add item 1 under old business to discuss the Oak Island Emergency Services Advisory Board.
The charge for the board.
The charge for the board, yes. And some name discrepancies.
Okay. Anybody else have any amendments or changes, please? Not, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Councilor Roy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Kaiser. All those in favor, please. And it is unanimous. Next is public comments on the agenda items. This is a little bit different from general comments. If you make your comments, please confine them to items on the agenda for tonight's meeting. You have the same amount of time allowed, 3 minutes, and if you need it, you can have an additional 2 minutes. First to sign up is Malcolm Morrison. And please remember to give your name and address when you come to the podium.
I'm Malcolm Morrison, 119 Southwest 21st Street. I wish to speak to one of the slides I presented at the special meeting we had with the Planning Board, and it has to do with funding for beach renourishment. I had an error in the balance that we have in the beach renourishment, the account balance there. I went back through some of the data, and as of end of FY 12-13, projecting out what the town has projected in the budget, it looks like we would be at around $3.9 million at that point if the estimates would hold. And contrast that with the cost of construction of storm berms, dunes, and renourishment that North Carolina Department of Environment and National Resources had when they were doing the nourishment on all the 3 beaches, and our pro rata share would be about $11.2 million. So we're looking at about $4 million at the end of June, looking at about $11 million due we would need if that would go into effect in 2017. So we can see the goal that's out there and the estimate of cost should it be needed. And I just want to correct that. One other item, it said in the minutes of the meeting that the Ocean Estuarine Access Planning Plan was presented to the Planning Board in August of 2011. There's no mention of that in the minutes. I think we need to research that back and find out the date that was. I just skimmed through it, and there's no mention of any presentation to them at that point in time.
To the planning board.
To the planning board. So I think it occurred earlier, but I haven't taken the time to go back and do the search of the minutes of all the meetings there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. To the planning board. Madam Clerk, I assume you will be willing to check the date of the presentation.
Yes, I will do that. As I explained to Mr. Morrison, though, I can't change what was said at the last meeting.
Right, this will be included in the minutes, I assume, of our next meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's all that's signed up tonight to speak on the agenda. Is anybody else that would wish to speak, please? Okay, if not, we'll go on. We will call to order our regular meeting. First item, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended, please.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion by Council Painter, second by Council Royal. All those in favor, please. And it is unanimous. We have no items removed from the consent agenda. We have one deferred till the next month. Next is committee appointments. We have 2 terms open on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, both ending in March 2015. We have 2 applicants for those positions. All those in favor of appointing Dennis Maneri to one of those positions, please. And is unanimous. And all those in favor of reappointing J.C. Moss, please. And it is unanimous. Thank you. We have an applicant for the Board of Adjustment for 1 regular term ending in March of 2016. All those in favor of appointing Charlie Coffey to that position, please. And it is unanimous. And we have an application for 1 term ending February 2016 on the Estuarine Shoreline Stabilization Committee. And that's an application by Vicki Howard. All those in favor of appointing Ms. Howard to that committee, please. Thank you. And I appreciate everybody that signed up to serve on committees this month. That's what makes this town run. It's not us. It's all the volunteers out in town. So I encourage everyone to look online or find out from the clerk the vacancies on our committees if you're willing to serve on one. Next, we have committee reports. Roseanne?
Madam Mayor, just a note while Roseanne's coming up, that 3 of the 4 of those were folks who have been serving and who have graciously offered their services to serve another term. So we very much appreciate that.
Good point.
Roseanne Fortner, 113 Paula Circle, reporting for the Oak Island Beach Preservation Society. First news is that we have a reminder of our wine tasting fundraiser, which is April 13th from noon to 2:30. We have a very few tickets left for that event, and you may contact Cindy Johnson to get one of them. You may see me at the break, and I'll share contact information with you if you need those tickets. If you have offered us an auction item, please get that to me or to Mary Payne by April 1st. We need them in our hands by April 1st, please. That's coming your way. Second information piece is that in addition to our website, we now have Gmail accounts for Beach Preservation OI and Junior Beach OKI, so that we can be reached directly with the whole committee available to respond to emails. We also will, of course, continue to respond to individual emails to people on the board. We have a young member on our board, and she has put us in touch with some social media. So we now have a Facebook community for Oak Island Beach Preservation Society. Just started last week, so expectations are building for that. We invite you to come along and like us as a community.
Do you know what the Facebook page's name is? Is it
Yes.
Beach Preservation
It is
Society?
Oak Island Beach Preservation Society.
Okay.
And that's all the announcements for tonight. We thank everyone for helping us take care of our most precious resource. Thank you.
Thank you, Roseanne. And once again, congratulations on your appointment. And how long have you served on the Beach Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board? 5 years. 5 years? Yeah. Okay, next is administrative reports. Mr. Foster, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be as brief as I can. Just want to let everybody know that I'll be attending the North Carolina Beach Inlet and Waterway Association meeting in Nags Head next Monday and Tuesday on March the 19th and the 20th. Some of the issues that we're going to be talking about at that meeting are going to include inlet dredging, how to pay for inlet dredging, which is a popular topic all the way around, beach nourishment funding, flood insurance revisions, wind and hail insurance, which nobody wants to talk about, disaster recovery, cost recovery, Corps of Engineer project updates, general state legislative issues, camera reports, and a whole variety of shoreline management issues. That ought to keep us busy, shouldn't it?
Busy.
Just as a note, we did conduct a customer service workshop for all of our employees this past week, and in order to help improve town's level of services. We had Mr. Chris May here that conducted the workshops, and we covered topics including handling customer complaints, time of response to customer problems, and having a positive attitude in dealing with the public and dealing with fellow coworkers in the workplace. And I really did feel like it was a very productive exercise, and I would like to continue this on a regular basis, maybe an annual basis to do this. It took about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to do it. I think everyone went away with a little different perspective on what is expected of them and their attitude and being able to deal with the general public. So I felt like it was a very nice exercise. It worked out real well for that. And our outsourcing program on some of our services that we're providing, we just conducted a bid opening this past week. This is on right-of-way mowing and general landscaping. And the staff currently is reviewing those bids now. We got some excellent bids in. I don't want to go into a lot of details at this point. We're going back and looking at some payment issues. We're looking at how we're going to do that, and some other technical issues on references and this and that, just to make sure that we're going to be all right. And we should be looking at these bids, or maybe awarding a contract on this probably as early as the next meeting in April. So we had 3 companies that bid on the project. It was the Phoenix Company, which currently handles the St. James contract, as I understand it, Bridgers Landscaping, and the low bid was Greenman Landscaping out of Southport. So we're going to have come back and make some recommendations on that in April. Staff will soon be interviewing a financial software consultant to assist in the selection of an appropriate and effective software system that will serve the town for many years to come. We're talking about a fairly significant expense on this, and we want to make sure that when we get a software package, it's one that we're going to be able to use not only now, but several years from now, hopefully many years from now, and replace some of our DOS-based software that we have currently that's very unwieldy and not producing necessarily the information that we exactly need, which has resulted in some time lapse for getting our audit report completed. So that's what we're working on, and we're going to go ahead and suspend an RFP on getting a financial consultant. We're going to interview 2 or 3 of the top candidates for this and just go ahead and select one based on price and qualifications. And I think Ms. Swerd has found a software package that looks very good for a fraction of what we were looking at originally, and we're going to have this consultant look at that first and then see if it meets our needs and if it needs to extend out a little bit more. So we're working diligently in getting that completed. Good news, the town hall and police department signs finally should be ready by the end of April, so we can take these old temporary signs out here out of the front of the yard. These signs will be placed on the front of the building. I think that everyone here knows that we couldn't put the original sign out in front due to state DOT right-of-way problems that we ran into. So I think everybody will be glad to see which building is which and what kind of buildings these are finally after a number of years. Some other good news, if anybody here is wondering about why the state's putting tar down on Beach Drive and patching the cracks, I had a couple folks back there tell me they had 9 people that took to do this. But nonetheless, I was happy to see them out there regardless of how many it was. But they're patching this now or putting the sealant down on Beach Drive and Kings Lynn Drive, the entirety of Beach Drive. And they're going to be letting contracts starting sometime after July 1 to resurface the whole road, including the bike paths. So that's something that I think is long overdue. Those roads have been in terrible shape for a long time, and we're real glad to see it. I want to thank DOT for taking care of that for us. Our diligent town clerk, Ms. Stites, is working to place a computer reporters in the lobby, and she is going to put that there for the public and for the press to be able to peruse emails at their leisure and ones that they may be interested in. And I'm just going to kind of turn it over to Lisa to kind of explain how that's going to work.
We've been in desperate need for a better email management system for quite some time. As it stands now, when someone makes a public records request for emails, say, just to use Mr. Foster for an example, if they wanted all of his emails for the last 6 months, had he been here 6 months, I would have to have IT pull those emails. The way that they're pulled, it might pull in emails that Mr. Foster's name was mentioned and they weren't his emails. All of those have to be weeded out, along with any that are not public record. Personal emails, emails about personnel, or attorney-client privilege matters. We need a better system than that because that's tens of thousands of emails that have to be reviewed, and that's just not feasible. So as we implement this, we're going to be giving you information on how we hope the elected officials and department managers will manage the emails. It's going to be very easy. Just one click after you read an email, we'll send it to a folder that we can copy and make available to the public. So expect more information on that soon.
All emails would be that are not a personnel or litigation. That's all emails that are public record would be automatically available on this computer.
That is the goal, yes.
Is that similar to what the counties?
It is similar. They have a separate email software management program we're looking to do this without purchasing anything.
Okay. There you go, guys. You wouldn't have to make any public records requests anymore. I'm talking to Lee and Jason.
I'll be happier about that than they will.
Very good. Yeah, you'll be a lot, I can see you dancing in the halls if we can get this implemented.
I think these are gonna be for what? Department heads, town manager, town council, and mayor primarily?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good. Just want to make sure we were clear on that.
Cool.
Okay, a couple more things. Update on the sale of the developmental services building, a survey of the property. We had it split, as most of you know, split out part of the property because we didn't want to sell our water tower. That's not good. So we're currently doing a survey on that. Should be finished by the end of the week. After that, Mr. Michaud has gotten the place looking very nice. He's got it landscaped or got it mowed. It's got all the bushes and shrubs trimmed. And we're ready to put it on the market and do something with it. I think it'll be ready at that point. There were a couple other little issues that a couple people brought up about potential problems with it, but I think we've gotten those resolved. So after going through, I think we're good to go on that. I want to congratulate the mayor. She's gotten appointed to a Rural Transportation Advisory Committee, which is going to talk about, I think she's one of 2 representatives from down southeastern North Carolina. And what they do is that they discuss transportation needs and they do some transportation planning and work with some of the metropolitan areas and transportation as well to interchange, to represent our area for transportation needs. Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you. And I'll be working closely with Josh, our senior inspector, because he's now a voting member of the RPO, the Rural Planning Organization, which is a subcommittee of or a joint committee with the RTAC, Rural Transportation Advisory Commission. Yeah. Yeah.
MAPS report. Everybody remember MAPS?
Yeah.
All right. Right now, we've completed a substantial amount of work in that area. All the employees have been interviewed. They've turned in information on their job descriptions. The supervisors have sent in their and reviewed these job descriptions. Everything's been checked through. I'm going to be meeting with Miss Becky Vesey next week, and we're going to be going over these, and hopefully they'll be getting a report to us fairly quickly. Probably sometime in April is what we're hoping for, is to get that done. So we haven't forgotten about it. We're moving along with it, but it's just kind of moving a little bit slower than what we'd hoped, but it's still moving along. Little date on it. Everybody remember time clocks with little biometric stuff? We've had to kind of delay that until July. There was a good bit of financial information that they needed to enter into their system, and our financial staff has kind of had their hands full in some other areas. And so we're going to hope to go ahead and start that 1st of July. The other thing was they wanted to start at the 1st of the quarter, and there's no way we could get it done by April to have it ready for then. So we've worked like this long. I don't think a couple extra months is going to make that much of a difference. I want to thank another committee that I stayed up with last night. This is our Capital Improvement Committee. We stayed here, Kelly, 7 something last night? Quite a bit of time. Anyway, they've been meeting now. This is the 3rd or 4th meeting, I think, that we've had. And they've been working very diligently and looking at the capital needs of the town. And we've gotten some good ideas from them, the staff, and I think that we've been working pretty well together on that. And I want to thank Carl Bush and Kelly as co-chairman, as well as the rest of the committee members for all the work that they've put in on that. One last thing I would like to mention on these bids for outsourcing mowing and general landscaping, I want to especially thank John Michaud, Chris Napinski, and Dave Kelly, because they've spent literally hours on working on these bids. So I just want to thank them. Thank you, Mayor.
Please.
I think mine was longer than yours, I believe.
One quick question to mention, and Steve, you may remember this off the top of your head, or it seems like it was in the section of the administrative report that we got from Josh, but I'm recalling something about a survey count, traffic count that's going to be done on, is it Midway Road? Could we ask Josh to come up and tell us about that? Because I think it's good to start getting that word out now.
That's a good point.
Josh is on a mission.
As the mayor mentioned, I was asked to be a voting member of the Cape Fear Area Rural Planning Organization, which works in conjunction with the board she's just been appointed to. Had an opportunity last Wednesday to meet with a lot of area planners from the Wilmington area, from all of Brunswick County. Had Patrick Riddle with Division 3 of the DOT in his office going over proposed projects, the kind of stuff that they're doing. I've got a detailed list of all the bridge closings, all the repair work, all the work that's being let. Just March 19th, I believe it is, the bids are being let, or it could be March 9th, I don't know if on the Long Beach Road extension. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. That bid's already been let. What Ms. Royal was speaking to was, for those of us in the community here, we have an opportunity to get a major road widening project that would tremendously alleviate our traffic congestion during storm events. The DOT is conducting a traffic survey this year, starting, I believe, in April, of the EF Middleton Midway to Galloway Road corridor. Mr. Riddle basically said, the more cars we can get going down that road, if you're going to 17 during that traffic study, you need to go down that road to get to 17. The more cars emphasizes to DOT the need of the widening project. It can bump it ahead of other projects. It can really help us with that. And so I can't implore you enough to please use that corridor when you're going to 17. We've all been here during storms. That's going to end up being your route out of here anyway, due to traffic and other issues. So, but that survey is going to start taking place in early summer, and maybe as soon as April. Other issues we talked about, there's no true signage. If you're coming out of Wilmington and you see Brunswick County Beaches sign, nobody sees Southport, nobody sees Oak Island, nobody sees St. James, it's not on there. Caswell Beach is not on there. So we've discussed getting that signage issue taken care of. Also, there's no signage on 17 that says we have an alternative route. So one of the reasons why we're still seeing a high volume of traffic on the Long Beach Road corridor is because, frankly, people don't know that if you take Galloway Road to Midway Road, you get this brand new fancy bridge to cross into our town. We need to make a concerted effort to get the public to know this. We really do. I mean, our use of our roads can increase our opportunity to get state funding and get something done that we really, I think, desperately need. Isn't it an alternative exit way during storm events? So that was one of the things we went over. And again, I've got a detailed list for anybody who, I tried to put it in your report as much as I thought was relevant. There were some resurfacing other things, but I can give anybody any detailed information they like.
Thank you, Josh. And see if we could get that information to our public information officer and get that out in the email list and whatever other forms of communication we have, or the Oak Island Tribune, all of that. I think the knowledge of the doing the traffic count on Midway Road is, we need to get that word out and encourage people to help us with that.
I know St. James, one of their members of staff was there. They're very desperate to have this done too. So we could be
That's
supportive.
probably Bruce Maxwell.
I had it in my report. I've only met him twice.
We had a resolution by the council last year supporting that the DOT fund, I think that's Project 3434, the widening of Midway Road, and it was basically coming at it from a safety standpoint because that's one of our major evacuation routes. Like you said, it's first one to flood, first one to dry out. And then the Southeast Brunswick mayors are encouraging, and Bruce Maxwell is really spearheading that from that standpoint as far as safety. If we can get together and encourage everybody to drive that road for the traffic count, we'll get it from both sides at the same time to the DOT. Maybe they'll get tired of hearing us and fund 3434. Hope so. Thank you, Josh. Okay, any more questions for Mr. Foster on his report? Okay, next, Mr. Eads, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Briefly, Council, a couple months ago, passed a resolution requested by Emerald Isle to seek clarifying legislation to allow municipal regulation of the public trust area for the ocean beaches. It's my understanding that at least one, if not two, bills will be sent to Raleigh, have been drafted. I've seen both of them. I like them both, but they may consolidate both of them into one, and hopefully that will pass and become law in July, and I'll keep you apprised of that. But I'm encouraged that the two representatives have agreed to author those bills, and we're working with the various language of each one now. So
Okay.
that's all I
Good.
have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Eads, please? Okay, it's only 7 o'clock. With council consensus, let's go ahead and go into old business. Discussion of the charge for the Oak Island Emergency Services Advisory Board. Mr. Bedlin, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are a couple things on here. I think all of you have a copy of this at your place. Section 2-131, creation, name, and number of members, where it specifies the chiefs of the town police and fire departments, and it says the town water rescue. The town really doesn't have a water rescue. It's the Oak Island Water Rescue Station 44, which is an all-volunteer unit, and I'd like to see that change corrected there, and also in section 2-133, the same. I have been contacted by the chairman of that committee, and the water rescue chief works in Bald Head, and it's virtually impossible for him to attend the meetings. And we made no provisions in our original charge for substitutes. So I would like to make a recommendation that under, let's see where it was.
133.
Chiefs or his or her designated?
2-133, is that where it is?
Should be the chief
No, that's
or
not it.
assistant chief.
Yeah, I'd like under 2-133 to change it where it would be for the water rescue, the chief or the assistant chief, and leave the others as it is.
Okay, do you make that in the form of a
On the
motion?
motion, yes.
Do we have a second to that
Second.
discussion motion? Thank you. Any further discussion, please? And Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, I'm not going to start talking to myself, I promise. Madam Clerk, is that a clear enough motion to include?
Could you repeat exactly what you want the change to be?
You need all the changes?
No, I got the first two about the Oak Island Water Rescue Station.
Okay, instead of saying the town under 2-133, town water rescue, say Oak Island Water Rescue Station 44, chief or assistant chief.
Any further discussion, please? If not, all those in favor, please. And it is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Medlin. Next is new business, possibly schedule a budget workshop. Mr. Foster, are we far enough along that you can talk about scheduling a first budget workshop?
Here's what I'd like to do, Mayor, if I could, and this is the board's pleasure if they would prefer to do this. I'd like to go ahead and get the first introductory workshop out of the way. And what I plan on covering, there's quite a few things that I do not have access to yet that probably won't be accessible until probably mid or latter part of April. But what I would like to do is sort of get some guidance from the board as to where we're headed, with the budget, and primarily looking at departments, and some of the preliminary data that we have on expenses that we have collected on those departments. The other thing I'd like to look at or talk with y'all about are factors, interior and exterior factors that would affect the budget for this coming year, such as the Affordable Care Act, any number of other things that we have statutorily that may have a bearing on our budget. So this would be sort of an overview, introductory. This isn't going to be the whole budget presented, but rather some of the issues and looking at where we're headed, the staff's headed, and putting the budget together for the year. I would like to get to the point where maybe this time that we can get it down to 2 or 3 budget sessions, maybe, and look at the forest instead of each one of the trees, and look at the major changes in each one of the departments or factors that may change versus maybe going down line item by line item by line item, which, yes, it's not as effective as taking a look at the whole picture. So this will be an introductory overview of the budget, is what I kind of had in mind, if that's what the board desires to do.
Would you like to do this like first part of April, first week or two, or mid-April?
Well, we could do
Last
that,
of March?
or we could do it 25th, 26th, or 27th of this month, but if you prefer to do it April, I have no problem doing it in April at all.
I'd prefer to go ahead and get it done in March if
Okay.
we could do that.
I think sooner the better.
All right, the 25th of March is a Monday.
I'd just rather not do it on a Monday.
Okay, the 26th is a Tuesday. I don't see anything as far as town committees, that sort of thing scheduled on the 26th. Mr. Weinkoff, what is your work schedule that day?
I got a work schedule every day.
I know, but I want to know your work schedule for that day.
I can take off if I have to. Let me ask you this question,
Sure,
because we already got something scheduled for the 22nd.
the 26th.
Well, we got something for the 22nd too, don't we, Lisa? The beach.
3 of you, yes, are going to be doing a tour of the beach that day at 10.
Why not combine?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
That's fine with me.
Okay. So we just do we have several vehicles going on the
Well,
22nd?
here's the problem with, if you call a special meeting for all of the council members to view the beach at one time, I'm not sure how the public can attend that meeting. So that's why we were going to split it up and not have a quorum and let council members go, some on the 21st and some on the 22nd.
Okay. For the public's information, our stormwater director, the town manager, have offered to take us to riding the beach. And they do that about once a year, so we're going to do that day, but we're going to ride separately so that we don't have everybody together at the same time. What time on the, that was 10 a.m. on the 22nd?
To accommodate low tide.
Why don't we do it 1 or 2 p.m. after lunch? 1 o'clock
On the 22nd?
on the 22nd?
It's on a Friday, right?
On Friday, 1 o'clock, the 22nd? Okay.
Just want to do it then, 22nd?
Yeah.
Well, for both of them? For both the workshop and this? I'm not sure I understand.
The council is going to be riding the beach at 10 a.m. on the 22nd, not the entire council, certain members.
Right.
So we're just going to schedule the workshop that same day, later in the afternoon.
Sure, that'll work.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope I have
Okay.
everything ready by then. That might be moving things up a bit, but I'm thinking maybe what we could do is take the tour and move it back to the 25th, 26th, 27th.
We can certainly do that another week. I mean, that's not a problem at all.
Would that be okay with y'all? Jeff?
Fine with me.
Okay. I would prefer to, personally, that's, if you're gonna do it
Okay.
those 3 days.
One of
So you wanna go back to the
26th?
26th?
Yeah.
26?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what I'll do then is consult the tide schedule again and see how that works.
Okay, that'll work.
We'll tentatively plan the workshop for 1 o'clock, right?
That'll be good.
Okay.
On the
Yeah,
26th?
26. You want to come?
26?
Lisa,
you
the
can tell me.
times, what they go forward about an
Right, you don't
hour.
need to come for the workshop unless you want to. I'm writing all litigation and legal fees out.
Just get a tie chart.
And we might have, in other words, if we're looking at the 26th, 27th, or 28th, or 26th or 27th, basically is what we're looking at. And we're trying not to have, Jeff's trying to not take off more than 1 day of work in 2 weeks. So we're going to dispense with the beach tour on the 22nd, may pick it back up depending on how the tides are for sometime the 26th or the 27th.
I think that's,
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And I guess that will depend on, Jeff, do you have, in other words, if it was just
if
one
we-
day?
I got a B and I'll be there.
If the town clerk has to determine the tides and what time we could ride on the 26th,
Well, if I can make a suggestion. If
Please.
you just want to schedule your workshop, and if we can work a ride along the beach on that day then we'll do that. If not, it doesn't have to be this month. We can
Okay.
do that in April.
we can
If you
recess
want to do it
and
sometime
do
during the
it.
budget time, then we can.
That
do it
being the
another week.
case, you want to set the workshop at 10 a.m. on March the 26th instead of 1 p.m. since we can schedule, obviously, the low tide is going to be a little bit later.
it's your pleasure.
Okay. How's that? Chair will entertain a motion to schedule a special meeting, budget workshop for Tuesday, March the 26th at 10 a.m. here in our council chambers. And, no, we'll discuss that later. We may or may not videotape it. I like to videotape those workshops because the public can hear what we're saying about the budget. But it means we have to sit here. Chair will entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Medlin. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Counselor Weinkoff. All those in favor? And it is unanimous.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for suggesting this. We're all getting behind the times here. In conjunction with that, Mr. Foster, you mentioned that, some of the information that you were going to need, and for the public's information, part of the information that we need is some of the fund balances from the audit before the manager can begin working with some of these budgets. Do we have any further estimate on when the audit will be completed?
I'm thinking, Ms. Word, didn't you say possibly it could be probably the next week or so, couple of weeks, or is that premature?
And that's an information question, not a pressure question.
We just extended the contract to the end of April.
Well, she extended the contract to the end of April, make sure we didn't have to do it again.
That's true, but if you keep in mind that this is tax season for the auditors, that they've now moved into tax season, so while I'll have my information finished up in the next week or so, they unfortunately will not be able to give it their full attention immediately upon receipt. So that's why we've extended it to April 30th to give this window to make sure he can get through tax season April 15th and make sure that we're all finished and complete as well. Certainly, if he can finish it sooner, we will, but that's the date that we've extended it to based on.
So your work on forwarding the audit work papers to the auditor will be in the next week or so. And so you obviously have resolved that issue with the software.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
For your information, the issue with having the 40,000 gallon difference on the total of one of those reports with the different rates, it showed up again. The little gremlin is on the walls.
Madam Mayor,
Please.
but again, the workshop that we scheduled on the 26th is a overview from the
Right.
manager.
I just wanted to make sure that we had an update. I forgot to ask for an update on where we stood with the audit.
But we are meaning to receive an overview from the manager.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, I understand that. I just forgot to ask for an update on the audit. Next is consideration of contract with the collection agency. Mr. Foster, please.
Okay, I think each of the board members has a copy of some of our outstanding balances that we have, variety of potpourri of services that we're providing the public that have not been paid for. I was a little bit shocked to see the total. Right now, what I've given the board is a list of outstanding balances for services that include, not including garbage, basic fees, water, sewer charges, special collection, pickup, cutoff fees, and late fees. And we have quite an outstanding balance. And we need to take some action, or we feel like the board needs to take some action to try to recoup some of this money that we have outstanding. And I'd like to point out that we're not trying to be abusive to anyone by trying to collect the money, but we're trying to be fair to current ratepayers and fee payers that are going to end up picking up the tab for these that haven't been paid. So therefore, we are recommending that the board look at engaging a collection agency. And we have done our due diligence on a number of agencies. The one that we picked, Ms. Word, I'm going to let you kind of address which one we picked, why, and a little bit about what we're going to do when we get them. I'll just let you go ahead and handle that.
Staff reviewed 3 different collection agencies. Also, Kristen Pinsky helped by checking with some of the other towns throughout North Carolina to look and see what they used, who they used, and how their services were structured, i.e. the fees that were charged for it. We were able to determine 3 leaders out of that group. Of those 3, DataMax, which is the one we've recommended to contract with, offered us the least fees, as well as had good references from other towns that had used them before. Basically, what we were looking at is having them engaged to be able to assist with collection efforts, from letters, phone calls, debt set-off procedures, to be able to help encourage folks to pay their debt that's outstanding. We feel that this is an option that we really need the board to consider and look at, because the amount of receivables that we're carrying is extremely high. In going through the audit, when I began to look at these numbers, they were somewhat overwhelming to me, and certainly I think Steve had the same response of looking at it. One thing I would like to point out is that the debt that we're carrying, the 31 to 90-day debt that we're carrying on the books at this point, is $174,460.68. And that's a debt that really needs to get collected, because the longer that you let debt stay on your books, the less likely you are to collect that debt. And these are folks who are getting utility bills every month but still are behind in their payments. With that, additionally, I've included the total past due balances and those that are over 91 days. I want to point out that due to the statute of limitations and different things, not all of those balances are collectible at this point. And through our accounting system, we've written off bad debt through our books the way that GAAP would suggest that we do that. But we retain them in our billing system. And the reason they're retained there is so that if that same customer that skipped out on a bad debt before comes back to the town of Oak Island, they move back to the island and want to hook up services again, then we still have the ability to, by policy, make them pay that debt before they're offered new services from us. So that's a note to you as to why that 91-day plus seems so much larger than the others. But yet, just the same, it's debt that would make a huge difference for the town, and the people who are paying their monthly bills shouldn't have to pay for those folks who are using the services and not paying for it. So we believe this would be a viable option to help us collect that debt.
One other thing I'd like to point out, too, this is going to take care of what's happened in the past, but we're going to probably need to revisit what we can do to prevent this from happening in the future. And that's going back and looking at our payment policies and our deposit policies. Bonnie and I were talking about this afternoon about a number of ways that we could probably solve a lot or a good bit of this, or at least mitigate it, if we try to change our policies on this, which are somewhat outdated. So.
And did either one of you mention the grand total of everything? How much is it?
780.
I did not. The grand total of all the past due debt for utility system is $720,265.63.
That'll get your attention.
Again, keep in mind that goes back numerous years, but it certainly gets your attention when you see that kind of a large number.
Now, not all of that's collectible. Some of it's due to the statute of limitations. It's non-collectible.
Will we have the ability, possibly in the new software, or possibly update whatever we decide on, to flag individuals so that we don't have to keep carrying this and then going back and adjusting?
We actually have some abilities in our current software to flag customers, and we do just that. But certainly Steve and I have talked about some of the policy procedural issues that have caused us to have greater debt. There are a number of different things, including the fact that when folks have service, they pay for service, and they may be late. There may be a leak or something, a one-time thing that causes them to have a high balance. Whereas another issue is that when folks aren't actively in their home all year long and they don't need their water service to be on, sometimes people don't necessarily pay that bill till it's the weekend that they're coming down to the beach. And so that's something that changing our policies would certainly allow us to work on. So like I said, Steve and I had talked about a number of different things, including the timing of when bills are due and how they become late, at what point they begin cut off. And we're certainly going to look at all of those issues to look at how we can better structure it to reduce this outstanding debt and reduce those number of days that we're carrying.
We have to do something on this, though. We
Obviously.
can't continue.
For sure.
Obvious. And I was telling Steve, these people that don't pay their bills make you and I have to pay higher bills. Because if you pay attention during the budget session, you hear that a portion of how much you're charged on your property taxes is based on collection rate by statute. If we're not collecting this money, we have to have this revenue for our utilities and public works. So we have to raise your rates because we've got to have the money. So they're forcing your bills higher by not paying theirs. And I think we do take into consideration in certain circumstances. I mean, if we have a family that's become indigent or become unemployed, we work with them very well, I think, don't we?
I think that the town has customarily been very generous in the past.
Okay.
And for the financial soundness of the town, I don't think it's wise to be as generous as it has been.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
That was very nicely said. Please.
just clarification, this contracting work with Datamax will just address utility-related revenues, not ad valorem taxes past due.
At this point, all we're looking at is utility. We've talked about potentially some citations that may be passed due, adding that as well. But it is not, at this point, looking at any ad valorem because there are additional issues within collecting ad valorem taxes that we would not be including in this at this point.
Yeah, that was out of the discussion for ad valorem taxes.
There was, I just wanted to clarify that before we moved on. Thank you.
And a technicality, is this copy of what's in the packet
Yeah, I think
for
that's the one.
consideration? The very first page, it says the day of blank 2012. So on that top paragraph, technicality. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, may I make a comment?
Please.
Or observation? I have some experience, not in the municipal service context, but with aged accounts receivables. And as I understand it, Bonnie, correct me if I'm wrong, it's flat 25% on what they collect. Is that correct?
That we have two options. That is one of them.
Okay.
Yes.
I would just, and I think there's a 30-day, Chris pointed out to me earlier, there's a 30-day termination. What you'll find in these, and I think the graph they have in here, the low-hanging fruits that first 90 days, if you will, and if they're working just that, what we really need, the town really needs them working is the older stuff as diligently, if not more diligently than the first 90 days. So if there's a way we can monitor their success, not only about the amount, but what was the age of that account receivable, and just make sure we keep them incentivized. I mean, my suggestion would be you get a lower percent for the new stuff and a higher percent for the older stuff, but I don't think that's doable.
It's be somewhat challenging, yeah.
But we would want to keep reiterating with them, chase the old stuff because that's the hardest stuff to collect. And I just point that out just based on the case I had years ago.
Okay.
If there's a way we can keep them looking at the older stuff.
To respond to that, we do have the option of placing them with whichever debt we'd like to place with them and holding back whichever accounts that we prefer not to place with them at that time, so that if, in fact, Steve and I were talking about that today, the inactive accounts would be the first priority for those to go to, would be those that are older debt that's inactive. Certainly start with that and work our way through from that, the largest debts working down.
Okay. Good point, Brian.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Please.
I move that council authorize the town manager to enter into a service agreement with Datamax for the purpose of collecting past due debt.
I have a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second that motion.
Second by Councilor Kaiser. Any further discussion with council, please? If not, all those in favor, please. Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss potential litigation. Please state the statute.
Break first.
With a 10-minute break first. Might make a motion.
Motion move go in closed session.
Get out of that one.
Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3.
Motion, do we have a second? Second by Council Kaiser. All those in favor, please, with a 10-minute.
Okay. My stomach's.
We will call, excuse me, I'm sorry, we'll wait on Council Royal. Use your
Cal,
mics if you
is
talk.
Cal ready? Why are we echoing?
Pardon?
Check. Yeah, it's feedback.
Kyle, we got some major feedback. Maybe close off that microphone on the podium. We will call the meeting back to order. Council took no action in closed session. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilor Painter, seconded by Councilor Medlin. All those in favor? Thank you.